Hi everyone, so today I'm going to be having a go at making a Christmas pizza, which I'm going to do on the barbecue as well. So first of all, I need a kilo of self-raising flour, so I'm just going to measure that in the bowl. Then I'm going to add a little bit of salt. Then I'm going to add some sugar and yeast into the water to get the yeast going. So we need a tablespoon of sugar going in there in the water. Lukewarm water. Just using a couple of sachets of yeast. Most of that went in the jug. So I'm going to add some olive oil into the water as well. So we need about 4 tablespoons of this. Using good quality extra virgin olive oil. And then we need to let that stand for about 5 minutes until it goes nice and frothy. So the yeast has had about 5 minutes, it's got a bit frothy. So I'm going to mix it into the flour. Make a little well in the middle. There we go, all is well. That one's for free. And then just with a fork, I'm going to start mixing the flour in like this. When it's clumpy, you can start actually kneading it on the worktop, which I'll do in a minute. So to start the kneading, I'm just going to put a bit of flour straight on the worktop. And off we go. Do this for about 10 minutes. I love one of those Kenwood chef things. Anyone at Kenwood watching this video, if you do want to donate me a machine, that would be fantastic. I was actually thinking about starting my own pizza business on the side. Maybe call it jonimos. Would be a nice little earner actually, and to be honest, I need the dough. If you're wondering about the background music, I did actually put it together myself. When I'm not barbecuing and cooking things, I'm actually a drum teacher. So if you're interested in that, do check out my website, www.jwillsdrums.co.uk. Right, this has had about 10 minutes now. It's looking pretty good, quite dough-like. So I'm just going to put this in the bowl, put a tea towel over the top of it, and I'm going to put it in my utility room, which has the tumble dryer and washing machine in there. It's great for proving. So there we go. I'll be back later. Okay, so I've come back a couple of hours later, maybe 3 hours, and the dough has been rising under this tea towel, so just going to have a quick look. Yes, look at the size of that. So what I'm going to do now is just knock it back down, and then I'm going to put it in the fridge just to stop it rising so quickly, and then later on we're going to cut it into the individual pizzas. So I'm just going to get the air back out of this. Now I'm just going to get some cling film and cover it over. Try and make it as airtight as possible. And this goes in the fridge for a little while. My next task is going to be to make the tomato base to go on top of the pizza. Using my NutriBullet to do this because it makes it just dead easy. You don't have to chop anything beforehand. So I'm just going to get a tin of chopped tomatoes. Normally I would use some basil to go in the base as well, but as this is more of a Christmas pizza, I'm going to use sage instead because I've got some left over. Stick a load of sage leaves in. And then the last thing that goes in is a bit of garlic. So I'm going to use a whole clove because I like it quite garlicky. Okay, then there's a couple of other bits to go in. Just need a little bit of sugar, probably about that much. A little pinch of salt as well. There we go, that's now blitzed. Hopefully you can see that. I'm going to put the lid on, put it in the fridge. So I've just taken the dough out of the fridge. It's risen slightly again, which is good. I'm just trying to get it out of the cling film. So I'm now going to cut this dough into the 6 balls that we need for each pizza, because I'm going to aim to do about 6 pieces. I need some flour. I'll be back. Found the flour. Put some of that down. Being a bit gentle with it, don't want to get too much of the air bashed out of it. It is going to have the chance to rise a bit more. So we're going to divide it in half, and then each half divide into 3. There we go, 6 bits. So what I'm going to do now is take each one of these, stretch them out a bit and fold them over. So I'm trying to basically trap the air inside. And then on the last one, pinch the seam at the top. I'm going to do that with all 6. So now I'm just going to put these on a baking tray with some oil so they don't stick, and put them under a tea towel and let them rise a little bit more, and then we'll be ready to make them into pizza bases. So this is the dough after another hour or so. It's had a bit more time to rise. You can see they've grown quite a bit. So I'm going to take one, being as careful as I can not to disturb the shape too much, and then I'm going to try and get it into a pizza base shape. The way to do that, you could use a rolling pin, but it knocks all the air out of it. So I'm going to be a bit more gentle and just try and spread it out like this, gradually working it outwards so that it becomes a larger circle. It's as flat as I can get it, basically. I'm trying to be careful not to make holes in the base, because that is a big problem when you're trying to get it off the paddle. If the topping goes through and sticks to the paddle, it's a whole world of pain to deal with. I've been there a few times, don't want to be there again. And there we go, more or less a circle, one dangerously thin bit in the middle, but I think that'll be alright. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it on some greaseproof paper. There's a few ways you can cook it in the pizza oven. I'll do another video one day about not using greaseproof paper, but today I'm going to use it because it just makes it a bit easier, because it is actually dark outside. So now comes the fun part, just assembling the pizza ready to go in the pizza oven. Just going to put a bit of the topping on. Since putting the topping in the fridge, I have put it back in a saucepan and warmed it up again. It's always good to put the tomato base warm on the dough rather than cold. I read that in a book somewhere, I can't remember why, but I've just always done it. So you should too, obviously. And I'm going to add some other things. So this particular pizza, being a Christmas pizza, inspired by my friend David Sullivan, the Sullivan pizza, it's going to have some turkey on it. This is actually the very same turkey that I was cooking in my first video that I posted on John Grill's channel. Then of course, a bit of cranberry sauce to go on. Then I'm going to add some red onion, just very thinly sliced. Put some of that all over it. I'm not sure if David Sullivan will approve of this, but sorry David. Then I'm going to add a few spinach leaves as well. Give it some colour. Don't be tempted to put too much on pizza because it stops it cooking properly. There's too much on it. And then some mozzarella on top of that. Just everywhere. And there we go. So I'm going to move the camera outdoors over to the barbecue, and then we'll go from there. So here we are outside, very dark. You can see I've got the pizza oven attachment in already. My charcoal is already lit over here, burning nicely. So I'm just going to get that into the barbecue now. I'm just going to try and show the charcoal formation because that's quite important. Let's move over here. Got charcoal either side around the edge, but a few briquettes right in the middle as well, which gives a bit of direct heat for underneath the pizza stone. Round the edge is where we want most of the heat because we don't want the stone to be too hot that it burns the pizza, but we do want the effect of a lot of heat in there to cook the pizza. I am of course using the usual quality Weber briquettes. This is my last bag, so if anyone from Weber is watching and fancies donating some to my cause, gratefully received. So now I'll quickly show you, I've just put the pizza stone in as well. I've preheated the pizza stone in the oven. It's just a slightly easier way of doing it, so it's already nice and warm when it goes in. So I've zoomed in on the pizza oven, you can see the pizza stone inside, and I'm just going to go and get the first pizza to go in. So you can see I've left it on the greaseproof paper there. When it's gone crispy, I'm just going to pull that out. It should come out quite easily, and then it will be cooking directly on the pizza stone. So I've just come out to check. It's had about 4 or 5 minutes. I'm going to now try and get the paper out. So now I'm just going to let it cook for another 10 minutes or so. think that's probably had long enough now. There we go. I'll bring that in and take a picture, and I'm going to eat it.